So today we're going to talk about eating to boost your energy in the morning. We're going to talk about how to start the day. I'm going to talk about how I delay fats in the morning, how to love your liver, and how to eat to boost your energy. And I'm going to share a tool with you that will help you determine what to eat. So eating this versus that. And then I have a bonus recipe for you if you stay to the end. So, firstly, how do you start your day? I'd like you to give that some thought. How do you fuel yourself when you first wake up? I'm going to share 5 of my favorite 5-minute habits when it comes to eating to boost my energy. These are not intended as medical advice. It's always best to consult your primary care practitioner. And again, I'm just sharing my habits. And so each of my habits take about 5 or more minutes, but I've built them into my routine, so I have a system that works for me. And I'm happy to share these with you. Food preparation is more of a joy for me now. Part of the ritual is that I bring my awareness and attention to being here now, and then I focus on being grateful in this moment. For years, I didn't enjoy food preparation. And as far as I can tell, it doesn't matter if you're preparing for one or preparing for a whole family. You can become very taxed, and it can be a tough chore. So I have learned that the act of bringing my best attitude, whether it's preparing veggies or cleaning the blender, the attitude is key. So another key is my why, my big why. Knowing why is really important for me, and you'll notice this theme as we go through the next few days together. It helps me to create a new habit, and it brings me back to presence. It helps me be here now. If you tell me your why and why you're doing something, and if it aligns with my why, then I'll follow you probably to the end of the earth. But wouldn't you agree that it's easy to be indifferent and uninterested if you don't know your why, or if your why just doesn't align with why someone else is doing something? So part of creating a habit that you love is about being present and seeing each step as a privilege instead of a chore. And this is how I approach my own self-care, my wellness. And again, I'm going to share as much of this as I can with you over the next few days. So, firstly, I wake up at 5 a.m. Yes, I am part of the 5 a.m. club. And I usually wake up cheerfully and energized to start my day. Trust me, this was not always the case. But I absolutely love waking up at 5 a.m. You may have heard of Robin Sharma's 5 a.m. club, and I am proud to be a member of that club, that is for sure. I'll share my routines, and I'll do my best to describe why I enjoy and apply these habits every day. So firstly, I drink a 16-ounce glass of water before I get out of bed. I pour it the night before and have it on my nightstand so that there is no excuse. And I do like to flavor it with either lemon or lime slices, or a little dash of my tea. So why do I do this? Water is the main component of blood and is essential for carrying nutrients to the cells and taking away waste products. So if your body is short on fluids, one of the first signs is the feeling of fatigue. So it keeps your body and your skin hydrated as the day starts. It helps promote a sustained flow of blood to your skin and releases toxins from your system. It's also good for the liver, the bladder, the kidneys. It also strengthens your immune system by flushing and balancing your lymphatic system. So the next thing I follow that with is a green smoothie or a green juice or a celery juice. So I don't always love the taste of celery juice, so this is made with a juicer, and Anthony Williams, who is the medical medium, has an interesting theory on the positive impact of the sodium cluster salts and how they impact the liver. And he believes in drinking that on its own, juiced before having anything else. So I do switch between that and making a green smoothie. So the green smoothie is what I've been drinking lately, and I mix this in a blender. I combine a variety of vegetables, so I use celery, cucumber, spinach, cilantro, ginger, whatever I happen to have. I use as well a lot of frozen so this actually helps quicken the process as well, because I add a fruit. So either berries, apples, oranges, or bananas. And again, I will freeze and cut up these things ahead of time so that, again, it's quicker for me. I fill the blender, which makes about 3 16-ounce glasses. I drink one immediately, and then I pour the rest into 2 mason jars. One I'll place in the freezer, and the other one I place in the fridge. Why do I do this? Again, because it floods my body with vitamins and minerals and sets the tone for the rest of the day. Starting the day with a green juice or smoothie gives my body an energetic and clean jumpstart. It keeps me from getting ridiculous later with something heavy and processed, and it's easy on my digestion. Great for my organs, my body, and my skin. The liver helps direct the beneficial nutrients and sends the glucose and glycogen to the heart and my brain. So I love the way I feel in the morning when I hydrate with water and fuel myself with plant-rich foods. I feel alert, energized, and ready to go. The next thing I follow up with is an herbal tea coffee blend. So I create large batches of herbal tea every couple of days, and I store them in glass containers in my fridge. I still enjoy caffeine, so I heat up the herbal tea and I blend it with a small amount of coffee in a coffee press. The pleasant flavor blends well together, and it's so enjoyable that I don't need milk or sweetener. Sometimes I like to upgrade it to a mocha latte, so I'll add superfoods, which I'll share more with you later in this video. So why do I do this? Well, herbal teas are derived from a variety of dried flowers, spices, herbs, and fruits. And I use teas because I like to boost my health naturally. They have nutrients, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants that vary depending on the herbal blend. And I have several teas, some for relaxation, some to help with digestion, immunity, and so on. So I use a small amount of caffeine to my advantage. As a stimulant, caffeine can increase or decrease your energy level, so depending on when and how much you consume. The next thing I have is usually a large bowl of oatmeal. I make a pot of oatmeal every couple of days. My favorite is steel cut. The next would be old-fashioned, and last would be quick cooking oats. But if I'm out of oatmeal, I'll use quinoa. Steel cut and old-fashioned take the longest, but I have them ready in the fridge so that I can heat a certain amount in a pot. I'll add a little bit of herbal tea, and I'll just use a fork and I mash it, and then I add my frozen fruit and put it into a bowl and add my superfoods, nuts, seeds, a variety of it could be blueberries one day, it could be apples another. I could choose flaxseed one day, hemp or chia another. Sometimes I'll just put I'll put some almond butter in there. So why do I do this? Because oatmeal is a complex carbohydrate, and it's full of fiber and nutrients. It's slower to digest and supplies energy evenly instead of all at once. So a bowl will fuel you for hours. And quinoa is a gluten-free grain and has more protein than any other grain or rice. So I choose gluten-free options in my diet as well. And the superfoods, the seeds, the fruit, they boost my energy. They supply fiber, protein, potassium, magnesium, and other minerals. So the next thing I do is I try to delay my fats until a little bit later in the morning. So I tend to feel better when I delay fats. And fats have a long to-do list when it comes to helping our bodies function. Fats supply energy, and they supply about 9 calories per gram compared to 4 calories per gram of protein or carbs. So this is a simplified version of how the body converts fat into energy. So this gets a little bit lengthy, but please stick with me because I do want to share this with you. So the environments of the GI tract and the bloodstream are water-based. If you've ever tried to whisk olive oil and lemon juice, you know that oil and water don't mix well. So, because fat is water insoluble, we have complex mechanisms to emulsify and break down fats, and then absorb them and transport them through the blood. So, as food moves along the small intestine, various organs add different juices and enzymes to the mix. These are specialized in breaking down fat into smaller chains of fatty acids. One secretion is a digestive juice called bile. Bile acts like an emulsifier that enables fat to mix with a water-based substance so that it can be pulled into the bloodstream. I find this fascinating. The blood from our intestines, with all these little pieces of fat molecules in it, travels into the liver, which is a dispatch center for macronutrients after digestion. So the liver spends a great deal of time converting excess fat into storable form. It puts the glycerol and the fatty acid molecules back together into triglycerides or cholesterol, which are the 2 types of fat in your blood. Then it repackages them into with proteins to form vehicles called lipoproteins that carry fats where they need to go. So lipoproteins move triglycerides through the circulatory system to their common destination, which is, ta-da, our fat cells throughout the body. So this is where energy is stored. There, I'm done. Okay, why do I do this? Well, in the morning, my body prefers using energy from carbs and proteins because they're easier to break down and use quickly. I delay fats in the early morning because I want to take it easy on my liver first thing in the morning. Make sense? Okay, good. I want to talk a little bit more about loving your liver. This incredible organ grabs toxins and works to neutralize them. It detoxifies by grabbing toxins and buries them within itself to keep them from floating around in the bloodstream where it can damage other organs. So, your liver needs water to cleanse it and perform the detoxification process. When blood has more fat in it, it becomes thicker. So the thicker the blood, the less oxygen there is in the liver, for the liver. So when the liver doesn't have enough oxygen, it suffers and can't do its job as well. It needs oxygen and water to sort out and deal with harmful elements, such as viruses, bacteria, toxic heavy metals, pharmaceuticals, chemicals. So the liver needs oxygen and water to sort through the blood, especially when it's thick blood, so that it can take in beneficial nutrients such as vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, and antioxidants. So, why do I do this? Why do I love my liver? My mother died of bile duct cancer, so I am very passionate about loving my liver. I love giving my liver time to detoxify with water and oxygen before it has to switch to more complex tasks, such as producing bile, which is needed to process the fat. Does that all make sense? I hope so. And now I'm going to switch gears and talk a little bit about eating to boost your energy. So, Harvard Medical School's advice for healthy eating also applies to keeping your energy level high. So they suggest that you eat a balanced diet, which includes a variety of unrefined carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, with an emphasis on vegetables, whole grains, and healthy oils. Extra amounts of individual nutrients may not give you more energy, but eating certain types of foods can help prevent fatigue. So, they also talk about how different kinds of foods are converted to energy at different rates. So, simple sugars may give you a quick lift, but that feeling fades quickly and can leave you feeling depleted and craving more sweets. Complex carbs, proteins, vegetables, whole grains, and healthy unsaturated fats supply the reserves that you need to draw on throughout the day. So, now I'm going to talk about a tool that I learned through Dr. Michael Greger. He calls it the traffic light tool. I came across this and I find it so useful when I help others to determine how to boost their energy through nutrition. So he asks you to imagine having a $2,000 bank account, or we'll call it a calorie bank account. You have the option how to spend your calories every day. So for the same number of calories, you can eat 1 Big Mac, 50 strawberries, or half a wheelbarrow of salad greens. So you may be craving a burger, but you get a tremendous nutritional bang with the salad greens for your caloric splurge. So just keep that in mind. Imagine a traffic light when determining which are the best foods to eat and which ones are the best to avoid. So let's visualize the traffic light. You've got the red light at the top, the yellow in the middle, and the green at the bottom. So green means go. Maximize these foods. Yellow means caution, which is to minimize these foods. And red means stop and think and avoid these foods. So the traffic light explained means that a green light food is an unprocessed plant food. A yellow light food is a processed plant food and or an unprocessed animal food. And a red light food is considered an ultra-processed plant food or a processed animal food. Okay? So the idea is to eat more green light and less yellow and red foods. So like running red lights in your car, you'll get away with it occasionally, but you don't want to make a habit of it. 2 concepts when it comes to the traffic light tool. Unprocessed plant foods have protective nutrients and have fewer disease-promoting factors. They contain more phytonutrients, antioxidants, potassium, and fiber. Processed animal foods contain saturated fats, trans fats, cholesterol, and sodium. Unprocessed green light foods means that nothing bad is added and nothing good is taken away. Yellow light foods can be used to increase the consumption of green light foods. So if the only way I'll eat oatmeal is to add a nut milk or yogurt, then I'd better add those so that I eat the nutritious oatmeal. A red light food can also be used to increase the consumption of your green light foods. So if the only way I'll eat salad is to add bacon, then I better add the bacon so that I eat the nutritious salad. Make sense? So why do I do this? I function best when I consume whole food, plant-rich based nutrition. I think better, I move better, I perform better, I digest better, and overall I just feel better. So the win I'd like to share with you today is to think about that traffic tool when determining the best foods to eat and which ones are the best to avoid. Green means go, maximize these foods. Yellow means caution, minimize these foods. Red means stop and think and avoid these foods. So, your other bonus win for sticking with me is that I'd like to share my 5-minute chocolate chia pudding with you. It's so healthy, you can have it for breakfast. It's creamy, rich, chocolatey, and delicious. I use raw cacao, which is a superfood, and I add this pudding to my coffee to make it into that mocha latte that I mentioned earlier. So I add the pudding, I put it into a blender, and then it makes a nice frothy latte. I also add the pudding to my oatmeal when I have some left over. I go through it pretty quickly. So I'm just going to list the ingredients and real quickly, but I'll also add these as a post in the group. So you end up putting half a cup of chia seeds, 2 1/4 cups of a nut milk of your choice, and 1/4 cup of, I use soaked and chopped dates, or you can use maple syrup or honey, or stevia, 1/4 cup of cacao powder, which is unsweetened, and I tend to add flavors as well. So I'll add hemp and flax seeds. Sometimes I add nuts. You can add half of a ripe avocado, almond butter. I add cacao nibs. So when it comes to the cashews and the dates, I soak these in boiling water first, so ahead of time, and then I chop them or I put them into a blender or processor. Another tip, if you don't like the crunchiness of the chia seeds, you can also grind these ahead of time so that you can have a smoother pudding. So basically, I add the chia seeds, the cacao powder into a mixing bowl. I pour in the milk. I add the dates and all my other stuff. I whisk it with a whisk. I place the bowl in the fridge for 30 minutes. After about 15 minutes, I'll take it out, give it another little stir, and then after 30 minutes, it's ready to eat. So I put it into smaller cups. I top it with fruit or coconut or dark chocolate pieces, whatever you want, it's up to you. So I'll include the recipe, as I said, and I'll also share the traffic light tool. I want to thank you for sticking with me. I am passionate about making these choices to eat a whole food, plant-rich nutrition over anything else. Trust me, it does get easier with time, and just keep in mind that your regular routine is what determines your long-term health. So I encourage you to become more conscious about choosing health-promoting foods versus disease-promoting foods. Oh, don't tell me that none of it takes. Seriously.